You're locked in to another episode of Man Up, Stand Up 215. Of course, it's your boy, your host, Israel.
Yo, I'm S. Todd, and it's good to be back with you. So, let me ask you a question. When you think about Man Up, Stand Up, what do you think about? You know, it's been a minute since we addressed this, but this whole man up component. So, the philosophy is we get up and we stay up, right? Stand up after you get up. 215, that's our geographical location. So here's the point. Every time we come at you, we trying to encourage you to get up.
I like that. You know, this culture needs that. You know, it needs not only men that are going to stand up, but also needs women, needs young men, children alike, that are going to stand up and do what's right, especially in a time and in a culture where everything is just okay to do wrong.
Yo, that's crazy, because today we dealing with some of the spiritual aspects of life, like from a pastoral perspective and even the missionary perspective. And that's right, because, you know, in our day, even the Bible says, woe unto you when men speak well of you, meaning that it's dangerous to approve evil because we approve good. But the temptation is to approve evil so that people will speak well of us. And so, again, how do we get up and stand above the circumstances? Well, we're going to try to tackle some of that today.
You're locked in the Man Up, Stand Up 215. Don't touch that dial.
On the L to the sub, Sun City.
This is the place where I'm made of. I can never forget small beginnings. I'm just glad I survived.
Okay, so we're here, Man Up, Stand Up, 215, and we got a couple of special guests, right? Representing two categories, pastoral and missions. So we got an international vibe and we got a local vibe. So the idea is, how do you roll through the pastoral complications and the missionary issues in today's day and age? So Pastor Steve, Pastor Jay, why don't you help us out with that question?
Thank you. It's good to be here tonight. Certainly balancing on the aspect of missions, especially international missions, and realize that missionaries first came from me. I'm originally from Africa, from Kenya. The missionaries came from the United States into Africa. And the aspect of getting missionaries now from Africa to come into United States is quite interesting. It's not common.
Wait, so hold up. That's a good point. So now part of your emphasis is missionaries coming from Africa,
yes,
to evangelize America.
Yes.
Wow. So before we dive into that, because that's real interesting.
That's real.
How about a little background, Steve? Where you from? How long you been doing this?
Well, I'm from Kenya. I relocated in the United States about 20 years ago with my family. Married to Jane for the last 30 years this year.
30 years.
Yes. And relocated into this country to come and do the work of missionary here. And immediately after 2 years, we launched a ministry for abandoned babies in Kenya, where we help rescue children who are thrown into garbage cans, children who are thrown to die. And so far, we've been able to rescue over 500 babies, and many of those babies are adopted in the United States, Europe, and other countries. Okay. And so we've seen great success in doing that.
So you rescue them and engage a process of adoption and placement?
Yes, we do that.
Wow.
We do that.
Wow.
Stuff.
Okay. So we also have Pastor Jay.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for allowing us to be here tonight, man. It's incredible to be with you guys. Respect and love you guys for what you guys are doing in your community. I came from New York, moved down to Delaware, and coming from one environment to the other, I kind of was always what I call from the bricks. So when God called me into the ministry, everything I did was in the bricks. So I would be in the projects in New York. I'd be in the street corners. I'd be in the malls, and I'd just be preaching and ministering on crack houses and seeing the power of God deliver people. And at a certain point in my life, I began to start to look at what God wanted to do with this already mission work that I was doing, because I was kind of what you call special ops. I never really went to church for the church piece.
Okay.
Like, it's so crazy. My pastor, Bishop Sullins, when I was in New York, he got up one Sunday and he said, listen, you guys will not fight me for my pulpit. Mm-hmm. He says, look out the window. There's 4 pulpits right out there. Pick either one you want and go witness to people. And that's when I heard the call for me to go out. And then after doing that, just being able to go somewhere else and take it to another place just became a natural thing for me to do. And that kind of led me to meeting Pastor Steve, and he given me the invitation to really go and become a missionary by traveling internationally and doing it in another country. So that was incredible for me also, that trip.
Okay. So I want to get back to this piece, but I want to hold off too. I know that missions is important to you, Al.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm just taking it all in. I think for me, just to see how the Lord brought your paths together is just amazing to me. But I really want to ask you, Pastor Jay, what is it for you in light of doing missions? What has been the benefit in doing missions outside of your culture, going to another culture, experiencing the culture, experiencing life in another country? What has that done for you, not only emotionally, but spiritually? What has that done for you?
Yeah, it's so crazy because when we went, I said I wanted to be impacted by the mission itself.
Hold on. So you didn't want to go and impact. You wanted to be impacted.
Yeah. I wanted to. I told God that I wanted to get everything out of this that He had for me, and I told a story while I was there. I had never eaten mushrooms before because I watched this movie, and somebody ate mushrooms and they died. So in my mind, I just thought if I ate mushrooms, I would die.
Yo, how long you been thinking that?
Like 20 some years.
I'm glad you went on a mission field.
So listen, when we got there, I wanted to be impacted so bad by this trip and wanted to take everything that it had to offer. I told God, whatever you put in front of me, I was going to eat. Wow. So we are on the plane. And they served this meal. The first meal has got mushrooms in it.
Wow.
So I man up. I stand up, right?
And eat the mushrooms.
I eat the mushrooms, right? Yeah. So I woke my wife up. I was like, babe, I just ate mushrooms. She was like, you want mine? Because she don't eat mushrooms either. But that's what I wanted. I wanted to see this culture. And when you get there, the culture is so rich, and mission work there is so much different. Like, so mission for me here was crack houses.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mission there was what Pastor Steve was talking about, holding these babies at 4 o'clock in the morning. Wow. And it's 75 of them, and they all crying, and they just need food.
Wow.
Right?
You know what's dope is that both of y'all have a perspective. We need to touch on, you're talking about Africa evangelizing America, which actually makes sense.
Yep.
And you're talking about not the parental overbearing missionary perspective, but rather you're talking about the servant who becomes a student and actually enriches personally as well as bringing something to people.
And so that would be the answer to Al's question. Yeah. Like, I became a student of this love that God had given me, and it was easy to give it to other people. And so wherever you go, you get it back. So that's what I get from the mission work.
That's good. And I think that's what really needs to happen in the day that we live in the age that we live in. There has to be first the openness. Like for Pastor Steve, there was an openness to say, I'll leave everything that's normal and come to America.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
You know what I'm
crazy.
saying? So I'll come here, and there was an openness to say, all right, Lord, I'll go and do that. And then there was an openness for you to say, I'm open to go to Africa. I'll eat whatever. I'm not, you know what I mean? And so I'm open to the new experiences. And imagine what life would look like if, as a culture here in the U.S., we you know what I mean? We took the position of manning up, standing up, and being open to the differences, to the, you know what I mean, the opinions of others, and learning how to find boundaries and respect boundaries and move forward, being that sponge and growing.
Yeah, that's the point, because
amazing.
you got two brothers who are doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have actually started a travel agency across. You kind of built a bridge, an international bridge, to take people to and from.
That's right.
Wow.
So, you know, and that's something we need to talk about as well.
Right.
But Steve, I'm interested in hearing this perspective about evangelizing America. Is there a push from Africa to evangelize America?
Every time you sow a seed scripturally, you expect a harvest. And so America has sown a lot of mission work into Africa over the years. And we can't help ourselves as Africans, but come and evangelize here. Because the same seed you sow is the same seed you harvest. And so
Wow.
I didn't want to come here. I was doing okay. But when the Lord said I had to come, I had to come.
So you see yourself, your calling to come to America and serve as a pastor
Yes.
is actually mission work from Africa
Yes.
to the United States of America.
That's what it is.
That's an untold story, man.
That's what it is. I'm here as a harvest for United States of America, and the respect that I have for this nation, for going out and dying there of malaria, sacrificing their own lives. Some of them were buried in awkward places because they went with their families, taking the gospel. And now I get to come here and enjoy the luxury of this country and preach the gospel.
And listen how powerful this is, because you guys are talking about this, right? So if he never takes that journey, I don't meet him.
Yeah.
So now my mother, who's a missionary, who's 77 years old, who has never been out of Delaware doing mission work, right? Because, you know, missionary in church
Right.
It's different.
is different.
Traditional. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You have a Sunday service at 4 o'clock, and you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
got it.
That's what you do. But the impact that he made in America, and me meeting him, I got to take her with me to Africa
Wow.
and watch her in the mission field.
Wow.
But that was only because he chose to say, I'm going to come to America and impact the people in America. So I think, you know, when we look at that word mission, sometimes we try to, you know, make it kind of microscopic in saying that it's only this, but the mission is so much larger than just actual field work.
Wow. So with that thought right there, we got to do the cliffhanger. If you are as excited about what you're hearing as I am, then you have to stay tuned. Please don't touch that dial. We're going to go further. We're going to go even deeper and hear how, if you're interested, you can even be a part of getting out of your own comfort zone and joining these brothers and going over across and experiencing Africa for yourselves. Please don't touch that dial. Stay tuned. Man Up Stand Up 215. We'll be right back.
Man Up Stand Up 215 airs every Saturday at 9 a.m. in Philadelphia on Comcast Channel 66 and 966 and on Verizon Fios Channel 29 and 30. You can also visit the hosts of the show at stoddonline.com and isrealworldwide.com.
215.
Welcome back, Man Up Stand Up 215. So, you know, we got the pastoral missionary vibe going on. We got Pastor Steve over here. He got that debonair pastor look. And then we got Pastor Jay, he kind of chill. But it's all good. That's how we do it on the show.
Yeah,
Everything is good. Now, this whole piece, misconceptions. Matter of fact, that's a good point for misconceptions, because sometimes people think it's about the clothing when it's really about the heart, the burden, the calling, the care. So, Steve, you raised some interesting points. So, what are the misconceptions about African culture? Because you have an African mentality that's thinking about evangelizing America. So there's some terminology, third world country versus what is said, first world country. but that's a reversal on that. So how do we address those misconceptions?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Very important question. Number one is misconception that America is spoiled. America doesn't. America has all this stuff to waste, and people just keep talking about how bad America is and how bad Americans are. But that's a misconception. America is just blessed. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. America is blessed because America gives. Mm-hmm. And because America has continually given, America has continually been blessed. And so when I came here, I couldn't help but think, how can these people who are so blessed sacrifice their own lives to come into those places in Africa which are so poor and spend time there, leave this and go to that? Mm-hmm. And for that, I had a lot of respect for this country. Mm.
That's powerful. So, all right, here's what I'm thinking, because I want to juxtapose it. Let's say we was going have a conversation like from a devil's advocate perspective, because you got healthy, vibrant, authentic missionaries that left this country from a European perspective,
right.
But you also had abusers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You also had those who literally upended countries or took their wealth or their well-being, and some of that existed in that missionary trade-off. How do you balance that?
I guess what there is always, you'll always find a bad apple in a barrel, but that doesn't mean all the apples are bad.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
The truth of the matter is that, yes, there has been some stuff that have happened, but the good outweighs the bad. The good people that have sacrificed and have given so much, even to this day, continue to help the very poor people in Africa and the continent as a whole. That outweighs the bad that you would dare to look at. Okay. And a nation that would open its doors for people to come in and make it their home. There is only one nation in the world, the United States of America, that has done that. Most of the countries, you can't even buy an automobile in your name. But in this country, when you come in here, you become free like everyone else.
So for the American who's ungrateful or accustomed, a trip out of the country might do them well.
They might do them very well. Might do them very well. And we invite you to come and join us, to go with us. Africa Israel Tour. We'll be glad to take you with us so that you can see the world and appreciate the beauty of the continent of Africa, the richest continent on earth that it has yet not yet known yet.
What's the your particular geography in Africa? Where are you from?
I'm from East Africa in Kenya. Mm-hmm. Kenya is one of the greatest countries in the world. Has the greatest people, greatest food. When I take you there, I'll give you some good food there.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to going.
Yes. And
what's just so that our audience gets a feel or an idea of how often you travel? How often would you say you're back and forth?
Let me just say that I was there last week. I was there for about a month. Just came back after a month. I was there in December, so generally I'm there maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
So I travel quite a bit. And then we do a lot of work there. We work with schools, we work with children, we work with churches. And we help build organizations from ground up and help people. We're actually taking a team in December to help develop young entrepreneurs start up their own business. If there's no employment, create their own employment. That's what we help them to do.
So I think that's a good point. On the lines of some of the misconceptions that are perpetrated by limited American views of Africa. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the economy, some of the social norms, as opposed to the image of negativity?
Well, let me just say that some of the richest people are not anywhere else in Africa. Some of the wealthiest people are in Africa. There's a lot of wealth in Africa. The infrastructure is great. The roads are great. And as insecurity like anywhere else, or trouble like any other country, there will always be those kind of problems. Sure. But then you got to look at it that the countries are growing. The infrastructure, the roads are great. The railways, the transportation the business sector, the banking sector. The church is thriving, and people are excited for Jesus. When they come to worship, they come to worship.
Amen.
Yeah, so it's,
Let me can I say one thing about the well? It was crazy. So when you get there and you have this misconception that people in Africa are living out in the now there are some things going on, but there's some wealth in Africa that when you see it, it's black wealth.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
So when you see like here in Delaware, you have a lot of the construction companies and a lot of the companies that do the roads and maintenance and stuff. They are Caucasian or Italian or in there. Every place that this brick company that builds the brick for all of it's owned by this black family, or this trucking company right here, it's owned by a black family, or we went in the mall, it was like small Christiana mall, in Delaware, or the mall here in Philadelphia, and the whole mall was just all black businesses. The police officers were black, the security was black, the people cleaning were, so it was just black wealth, and I've never experienced it that way. So when you start talking about the wealth of the country, I think, again, since we're on this thing of misconception, it's a misconception, and you don't even really realize how far you're off until you go there and experience it.
So with that in mind, we're going to prep for a quick break. But when we get back, I want us to peer into the New York native life, Pastor Jay, and we're going to talk about how being a part of the Israel and Africa tours has enriched his life, and how serving alongside of Pastor Steve has changed his perspective. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
215.
Man Up Stand Up 215 airs every Saturday at 9 a.m. in Philadelphia on Comcast Channel 66 and 966, and on Verizon Fios Channel 29 and 30. You can also visit the hosts of the show at stoddonline.com and isrealworldwide.com.
Welcome back. You've been locked in the Man Up Stand Up 215, and today really we've been talking about men who have taken the position to man up, and they really have a heart for others. That's really what it is. They have a burden for others, to see others saved, to see others grow, and to see others do better. And so at this time, we're just going to use this opportunity real quick just to really give our listeners and our viewing audience an opportunity to really peer into what you guys do. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing your social media with our family out there, they'd love to get in contact with you guys.
So our church is Life Worth Living Church. We're in Wilmington, Delaware. You can go to lifeworthlivingchurch.com and see all the things that we're doing for the community. We actually have things. We do more work in the parking lot of our church than we do inside the church.
Cool.
We were just blessed to get a portable baptismal, so that's going to be outside. And then you really have to go to the website, AfricaIsraelTours.com, and you'll see all the information on how you can go with us on the journey and experience Africa for yourself, because it's not enough to just hear about it, see us here talking about it. You should go and experience it for yourself, come back and tell your own story.
Thank you. So in light of being that native of New York, great New York, coming and making your way, I believe you said at 14 years old, coming down in Delaware, what would you say has enhanced or brought a sense of richness to your life, being able to serve in this capacity?
What's crazy, and you guys don't know this, my mother used to wake up in the middle of the night praying when I came home from the club.
Wow.
Right? So I left.
Don't that sound familiar?
I left Delaware chasing stardom.
Yeah.
And so I got with a brother that I grew up with, and we started a company called Spoil Rotten Entertainment. We put out some artists, Changing Faces, Case. You know the song Touch Me? That was on our label.
Wow.
That was made in our basement.
Wow.
Right? So the last year
What a legend right now.
that I did the music, we had 1.7 million in our account. I woke up the next morning, I was sleeping in my car.
Wow.
And God brought me back through those same communities that people used to look at me and idolize, because I'm from Mount Vernon. I grew up with Hev, I went to school with him, Puff, Albie, Shaw. And God brought me back in those same communities. I'm delivering mail, right? And I'm driving a beat up car. I'm not in the Benz, I'm not in the Range or anything like that. And so he humbled my heart and he says, you're going to help people. Wow. And so that really changed my perspective on what I was created to do. And from there, it really became mission work for me. Because he took everything from me, but he said, I'll give it back. And I just needed to be a blessing to other people.
Wow. That's great. And I know we don't have too much more time, but the one thing I really want us to emphasize on, we have the Africa and Israel tours. Yes. So what about this opportunity to go to Israel? Can we just touch on that just for a little bit?
When you think about Muslims, they are constantly going to Mecca. But you don't see a lot of Christians going to Israel, where we preach about every time and where our Savior was born. So we have a passion to take them, so that they can go and experience this Bible becoming not just black and white, but colored. So they can see exactly where all this happened, exactly where all this took place in the small nation of Israel.
Did you say not just black and white, but colored?
Colored.
Break that down. We only got 2 minutes left. Break it down real quick, Pastor. Come on.
Men, when you talk about Galilee, you see it right here. You can see it. You don't just read it, but you see it.
Live and technical.
Right?
Three-dimensional.
You see it exactly. You see it the way it is. And that's the passion. So that when people come back, their faith is not just what they read, but also what they have seen.
Nothing like it.
And what they have heard.
So bottom line, we going.
Yes.
All right, we're teamed up. That's why they're here on the show. We want to introduce you to them, but we want y'all to join us on some of these adventures that we plan to do in Christ across the globe. Man up, stand up. Not just in Philly, but all over the globe. So I know our time is winding up. Al, you got any final comments you wanted to make?
I was really going to just ask them to give that information one more time.
One more time?
Our social media is AfricaIsraelTours.com. I'll repeat it one more time. Africa Israel Tours with an S.com.
He sound like a telephone operator. So, yo, Al, did you catch that?
I got it.
Yo,
I got it.
So we got to wrap up the show. I'm going to try that. AfricaIsraelTours.com with an S.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm feeling Wakandan and whatnot. All right,
Listen, honestly, we're glad that you guys have been tuned in with us. You've been locked in. We're just having a good time. And honestly, if you haven't really gotten the gist of the show today, it was really just to bring to your attention that we're all called to some form of missions. You have a job to do. You can either do it abroad or locally. You might not be able to get to Africa. You may not be able to get to Israel. But guess what? Your job, your school, your home, you can make an impact and you can make a difference. And you know what? That's a decision you have to make. So we're encouraging you today to man up, stand up, do what you have to do in life, be successful, stay on top, keep grinding hard. All right, we're glad that you were in with us today. You were tuned in. We're signing off.
Yo.
Another great episode.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy about this one.
I'm S. Todd.
And I'm your boy Israel.
Thank you.
215.
Thank you. Stand up, man up. Thank you.
Don't give up the fight.
He just stand up, man up.
215, flyers glide, eagles fly, sixes ball, and the gospel raw in the 215, in the 215.
215 is the place where I made